we have an interesting topic to talk about. In 1959, Remy van Leert served as a colonel in the Belgian Air Force at the Kamina Air Base in Belgian-occupied Congo. In the Katanga region of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, returning from a mission by helicopter. He reported having seen an enormous snake as he flew over the forests. He described the snake as being close to 50 feet in length with a 2-foot wide by 3-foot long triangular head, which, if his estimations were accurate, would earn the creature a place among the largest snakes to have ever existed. Colonel van Leert described the snake as having dark green and brown top scales and a whitish-colored underside. Upon sighting the reptile, he had the pilot turn around and make another pass, at which the serpent reared up the front 10 feet of its body and head as if to strike, giving him the opportunity to observe its underbelly. However, after flying so low that van Leert believed it to have been within striking distance of his helicopter, he ordered the pilot to resume his journey, and so the creature was never properly documented, although some reports suggest that an onboard photographer managed to snap a shot of it. It is believed to be either a massively oversized African rock python, a new species of snake entirely, or perhaps a descendant of the giant Eocene snake Gigantophis. In northern Africa from Mali till Egypt several accounts of giant snakes are reported, of which most of them resembling a lot of characteristics with the madzoids, giant ancient predecessors of the boidae that occurred in the tropics and sub-degree tropics for millions of years. Without exaggerating, if these records are genuine and proper calculated, this could go about the largest snakes this earth has ever seen. Some records are dated back to the Roman age. Others are from only a decade ago. The latest reports came from paleontological researchers and are made just in the north of Morocco. In 1903 and recently in 1993 some interesting and large vertebrae and a jawbone were discovered in Mali and allegedly belonged to a very large snake. The snake proved to be one of the madzoids and is given the name Gigantophis garstinii, after Garstinii, its great estimated length and both its period of occurrence still puzzled many scientists as this giant snake that is calculated between 7 to 18 meters long. The monster in question is known popularly as the Grootslang, or sometimes the Groot slang, meaning big snake in Afrikaans and Dutch, as well as a variety of other regional names, and it has its origins deep in the mythology of the area. The Grootslang is said to measure about 40 to 50 feet long, sometimes even more, with scales as black as night, an elephantine body, and a long, serpent neck and tail, although it is often described as being merely a colossal serpent. It was apparently created by the gods with the features of both elephants and snakes, but proved to be so powerful and fearsome that it was torn apart into two different separate animals, elephants and snakes. However, one of these abominations was said to have escaped and remained whole, going on to hide in the cave to spawn more of its kind and devouring whatever it could lure into its dank pit. According to the legends, it is not an unreasonable beast, and values gems over killing, offering to bargain for people's lives in exchange for these treasures. Woe be to anyone who tries to take these gems, though, as the Grootslang will tear them to shreds. It is also known to leave its cave lair from time to time and prowl the rivers and lakes of the area as well, in particular the Orange and Vaal rivers of South Africa. While it seems to be nothing more than mere myth on the surface, there are a few sightings of this beast over the centuries that have cast wonder on whether it may actually exist or not. In 1867 explorer Hans Sauer spotted an enormous black snake nearly 100 feet long making its way through the Orange River near Aliwal North, Eastern Cape Province. There was another account from 1899, in which a merchant named G.A. Kinnear was crossing the Orange River near Upington, Northern Cape Province, when 8 to 10 feet of the head and neck of a gigantic black serpent crashed up from under the waves near his boat. Some very interesting sightings were made by the South African adventurer and prospector Light, Fred C. Cornell, who had his first brush with the monster in 1910 during an expedition near Agribeesville, northern Cape Province. On this occasion an American expedition member named Cameron came back to their camp in a terrified panic, claiming to have seen a serpent lift itself 12 feet out of the water as he had been bathing in a nearby pool. The second sighting would happen in 1920, and Cornell would write of it in his unwieldy titled book, The Glamour of Prospecting, Wanderings of a South African Prospector in Search of Copper, Gold, Emeralds, and Diamonds, in which he would write. It was dark when we floundered out of it, and we steered straight for a wide thicket of willows, made a big fire, and were only too glad to turn in. It seemed an excellent camp, with wood, water, and shelter from the cold wind, but it was plain that the boys were uneasy, and they crouched close to our fire instead of building one apart as they usually did. After some food Isaac suggested that we might perhaps trek on a little farther. And this, coming after a most arduous day, was decidedly strange. We asked him why, and after beating around the bush for a bit he told me that in the middle of the river, and exactly opposite where we were camped, was a big rock in which the huge snake, the Groot slang, in which every Richtersveld Hottentot firmly believes, had his home, and that it was not safe for us or for our horses. We had long heard of this snake. Many reputable Hottentots and a few white men claim to have seen it. Many more have seen its huge spoor in the sand or mud, a foot and a half wide. It is believed to take cattle from the banks, and the natives fear it mightily. There are no crocodiles in the Orange, and besides, there are never any traces of feet with the spoor. But it is a remarkable fact that the Hottentot name for this huge python, or whatever it may be, is Kee-man, which is very like the Eastern name for an alligator. Anyhow, we were far too tired to care for snakes, and of course stayed where we were. The only thing to annoy us being the huge long-legged tarantulas that kept running with incredible swiftness into the fire, where they sizzled, squirmed, and smelt unpleasantly. Here are some of stories that are very connected. Is it real snake or a figment of human imagination?